Okay, so Don, obviously the NHL held its annual General Managers Meeting, and we were all wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with us some takeaways. What was the hot topic or hot topics from this year's event?
Well, there are a lot of subjects touched on. I mean, the coaches challenge, video replay, really good discussion on it. I mean, the general consensus was that it's working the way it's expected. It's interesting to look at the numbers. As of Monday, there were 216 challenges. Of that, 55 were overturned, meaning a better call. And I think people have to remember it's not an exact science. It'll never be black or white. There's going to be some gray and interpretation, but all in all, you think about it, that's 55 times the better call was made by using it. So the thought was to get through the regular season, get through a playoff season. I think we all know that the process, speeding up the process of one of the interesting things that they are going to put cameras in on the blue lines. One, by the players' bench, be up in the glass. The others on the boards. And they gave a demonstration of it, which I thought was interesting. Ideally, you'd like to get it like tennis, where there's a challenge and a hand goes up, and literally within seconds you can tell it's offside or not. That's the ideal world, and hopefully technology gets there someday for us. So
that's for the playoffs.
For the playoffs, yeah, the 16 teams that get in, they'll all have cameras in the rinks, yes. And then we'll see. I'm sure that'll be implemented league-wide next year. I would assume it would be anyways.
No changes with the draft lottery. It sounds like that wasn't really
No, it was not
as
discussed
much.
at all. No,
Yeah.
that was not. I know there was some discussion prior about limiting your team's ability to win the lottery all the time, but no, there wasn't.
So okay. So no Oilers rule.
Yeah, there was nothing. It sounded like there might have been, but it wasn't tabled or anything.
Discussion, sitting around and talking, but there really wasn't any discussion on it. And I think it's true. You don't want to be knee-jerking every year, kind of turn around and make another rule. So let's get through this lottery. And they did announce, I think April 30th is the date of the lottery. So
if Edmonton wins it again, then maybe it gets revisited.
Yeah, we might want to talk about it in June. So
Goalie equipment, Don. That seems inevitable.
I mean, it's like Groundhog Day talking about goaltender equipment for the last 10 years. But I have to say, I can honestly think this time around, I do believe there will be meaningful changes in starting next September. Kay Whitmore has worked for years and years on this. But they have the manufacturer's line, and I think the most important thing, the players and the Players Association, when Corey Snyder and Devin Dubnyk and some of the top goaltenders are saying we need to change. And they had a video simulation of what the current goalies goaltenders look like, and it's really a streamlined version of what they will look like in the net. And it was really impressive. And the other thing, this is all about the shoulder protector, chest protector, and pants. You have goaltenders that are size 32 waist that are wearing 42 pants, and they had probably half a dozen examples of shots that hit this extra equipment, and if it's more streamlined, those will be goals. And so there really was not a lot of talk about goal scoring. I think it's something we're all watching. I mean, it's not at a crisis mode, but we're certainly looking at it and seeing are we ticking a little bit too much on the defensive side, and we need to do a few things to open it up. But I do think this will be meaningful if in fact what was talked about can get accomplished. Then I think we will see, because all you have to do is look at the simulations, and you can just see so much more net there, which is what the shooters and the way people shoot the puck these days, it should result in more.
You also got the salary cap range, right, of what it could if they use their floater. Looking maybe 74.
It sounds like it's going to be fairly similar to a similar level. I mean, for us, we would prefer it not to go anywhere, to be honest with you. We think we're really in a good spot in regards to how much flexibility we have in payroll next year. So as far as I'm concerned, the tighter the salary cap, or if it raises at all, or nobody expects it to contract. I don't think we see any of that this time around. But and the Canadian dollar has strengthened a little bit, so. But it'll be good for us as long as it doesn't move too far. I think that's a slight advantage we'll have.
You mentioned yesterday that you don't necessarily agree that we need to increase offense in the league, and yet there's some other proposals out there as well, extending, letting a team have the full 2 minutes on the power play. What do you make of some of those other things?
It's all just healthy discussion. There's really a long debate, discussion about icing the puck during that you're not allowed to ice the puck, or if you do it twice, you're penalized, right? Like the things along that line that are a little bit radical, but maybe that's something that has to be looked at. And so those are there are dozens of those type of ideas that are thrown out at a meeting, and then you try and mull it over, and you take it back, and you talk to your coaches, and maybe grab a couple of your players and see what do they think, and then you come back again in June and say, did this make sense? There was some meaningful conversation about the power plays and penalties and staying in for the full 2 minutes. So we'll have to see if it goes anywhere.
These meetings done, there's always so much change talked about. Does that mean general managers are unsatisfied with where the game's at, or you're happy, or what was the general consensus you walked away just because there's so much change that always gets talked about when you
Well, it's every year it gets talked about, but there was nothing imminent, there was no even close to a crisis or something. I think everybody likes the game. I think the 3-on-3 has been a huge hit. It resulted, I think right now it's around 60% of the games are getting determined in overtime, versus last year was around 40%, which is, that's a meaningful increase. And plus it's really exciting, as we all know. It's really it's what people stay around for, to watch that 3-on-3. And then now the shootouts actually seem to be more meaningful. So it's not, I think everybody thinks the game's in really good shape. The parity is terrific for makes every game meaningful. But you also have to look in 2 and 3 and 4 years down the road. They do a great job in looking at the numbers and trends and where the game may go if it's going in this rate. And then so you have to kind of continue to just look at it and see if there's tweaks that need to be made.